Welcome to Election Night 2020. Tonight we have the incumbent president, Donald J. Trump, versus the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Donald Trump is running with Mike Pence, the incumbent vice president, and Nancy Pelosi is running with Sherrod Brown from the great state of Ohio. Now let's go over some polling data. Nancy Pelosi versus Donald Trump. In the president's approval rating, Donald Trump is right now at a solid 40% with his unfavorability rating at 56%. The National has Pelosi plus 2.3%. Michigan has Pelosi up by 2%. Wisconsin, Trump plus 1.3. Pennsylvania, Trump plus 2.7, expanding his lead. Florida, Trump plus 7.4, very solid lead in the polls here for him. Nevada, Trump plus 5, a Clinton state from 2016. And Ohio, Trump plus 13. And now let's move on to some media predictions. Fox News gives Trump 295 electoral votes to Pelosi's 243. CNN News gives Pelosi 273 electoral votes to Trump's 265. ABC News has an exact tie between Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi, meaning it would go to the House of Representatives, currently held by the Democratic Party. MSNBC News, Pelosi 265 to Trump's 273. It is now 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and all the states on the left polls have closed. Kentucky, 8 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. South Carolina, 9 electoral votes going to Donald Trump. Indiana, home state of Vice President Mike Pence, solid lead here for Donald Trump, reaching 70% of the vote, 11 electoral votes projected to go to him. And Georgia, 16 electoral votes, a very early call in a state like Georgia. And Nancy Pelosi has won the state of Vermont with its 3 electoral votes. Virginia is too close to call, a Clinton state from 2016, Donald Trump holding on to a 10% lead. And now the race for 270 is on your screen now, Nancy Pelosi with 3 electoral votes to Trump's 44. She has 6% of the total electoral votes called. The electoral map, followed after the 270, every single one. This is how it will portray itself on this election night. 44 for Trump, 3 for Pelosi. It is now 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. West Virginia, 5 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Ohio, 18 electoral votes right as the polls have closed. The pollsters have shown that this is a solid Trump state. We have enough information to call this state for Donald Trump, him having 60% of the vote in a swing state as big as itself. And North Carolina, 15 electoral votes, another swing state projected to go to Donald Trump on the poll closing. The race for 270 is on your screen now. 3 electoral votes for Pelosi, 82 for Trump, Trump holding 96% of all electoral votes called. The electoral map is on your screen now, 82 for Donald Trump and 3 for Nancy Pelosi. The popular vote is on your screen now with 70% of the vote going to Donald Trump, 30% for Nancy Pelosi. It is now 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and all the states in yellows polls have closed. The state of Alabama, 9 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Mississippi, 6 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Missouri, 10 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Oklahoma, 7 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Tennessee, 11 electoral votes projected to go to Trump. And now, Nancy Pelosi's second win of tonight. Delaware, 3 electoral votes projected to go to her. Illinois, 20 electoral votes, home state of Barack Obama, projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi will now pick up 3 out of the 4 electoral votes in Maine, with a very small 4% lead. Maryland, 10 electoral votes projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. New Jersey, 14 electoral votes projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. Rhode Island, 4 electoral votes projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. And Washington, D.C., Donald Trump taking 9% of the vote here. Nancy Pelosi lead behind Hillary Clinton's margin from 2016. Now Florida is too close to call, a Trump state from 2016. Pennsylvania, 20 electoral votes, too close to call, Pelosi leading. New Hampshire, too close to call, Nancy Pelosi is in the lead. Connecticut, surprisingly, the blue state of Connecticut is too close to call, Donald Trump behind by only 4% of the vote here. Virginia is too close to call, Donald Trump taking a 4% lead. And the race for 270 is on your screen now, 125 for Donald Trump to 71 for Nancy Pelosi. The electoral map is on your screen now. The popular vote is as it stands, 42% for Nancy Pelosi, 57% to Donald Trump, and 1% for the third-party candidates. It is now 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The state of Arkansas poll has closed. 6 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. It is now 8:43 p.m. Eastern Time. Stand by for a projection. The state of Connecticut, 7 electoral votes projected to go narrowly to Nancy Pelosi. It is now 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and all the state's polls on the left have closed. New Mexico, 5 electoral votes, Nancy Pelosi taking 51% of the vote here, 11% solid lead. New York, 29 electoral votes projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. Now we can move on to Donald Trump calls. Donald Trump has won the state of Kansas with its 6 electoral votes. Louisiana, 8 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Donald Trump wins 5 out of 5 electoral votes from the great state of Nebraska. North Dakota, 3 electoral votes goes to Trump, as goes North Dakota, so does South Dakota with its other 3 electoral votes. Texas, 38 electoral votes, Nancy Pelosi with only 41% of the vote, lower than what Hillary Clinton's margin was in 2016. The state of Wyoming, 3 electoral votes, Nancy Pelosi with 25%, Donald Trump with 75%. Arizona, an early call here, 11 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Florida, wow, we interrupt our normal poll closings to announce Florida, 29 electoral votes. Donald Trump holding a solid 10% lead in this state. This state was a swing state contested by both campaigns. It's now projected to go to Donald Trump very, very early compared to where it was in 2016. This is a huge blow to the Pelosi campaign, and it looks more and more optimistic for a Trump re-election landslide. Maine, 1 out of its 4 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump, Maine's 2nd congressional district. New Hampshire has now flipped from the Democratic side, another poll closing call. New Hampshire, 4 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump by a margin of 5%. This is a very, very major call considering the fact that even Hillary Clinton won the state, and now Trump has won it by a margin of 5% and has swung the vote by 6%. This is not looking good for the Pelosi campaign. Virginia, another flip, surprisingly an upset, Donald Trump taking 51% of the vote here to Pelosi's 48%. We expect him to take a 2 to 3 point lead by all the time all the votes are counted. This is a flip from 2016. And Colorado is too close to call, Nancy Pelosi leading. Michigan, too close to call, Nancy Pelosi tightening up her lead. Minnesota, too close to call, Nancy Pelosi also leading by 2%. Wisconsin is too close to call, Donald Trump taking a very, very big lead. However, some of the urban counties have not come in yet. Pennsylvania, too close to call, Donald Trump with a 4% lead. The race for 270 is on your screen now. Donald Trump is now 15 electoral votes away from the presidency of the United States, or being re-elected. Nancy Pelosi with 112 electoral votes. The electoral map is on your screen now, all the poll closings, and as you can see, this is a huge wave of red in places that you normally wouldn't see red, like in New Hampshire, in Maine, in Virginia. This is very bad news for the Pelosi campaign. Popular vote is on your screen now. Donald Trump with a 52% lead to Pelosi's 46%. And breaking news, Nancy Pelosi calls Donald Trump to concede the presidential election. The time is now 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and it seems as if Pelosi has given up the presidential race, and we can now safely say that Pelosi will not contest the election results and that Trump will more than likely be re-elected as President of the United States. It is now 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and 4 new states' polls have closed. The state of Montana, sorry about that, Montana, 3 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump by a very big margin. Utah, as we just saw, 6 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Evan McMullin, 8% ahead of Pelosi. Donald Trump, 8% ahead of Evan McMullin. Overall, 16% ahead of Nancy Pelosi. Iowa, 6 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump, 56% to 39%. And the state of Nevada is too close to call. We're getting a call in real quick. Donald Trump has been re-elected as President of the United States. Donald Trump will win the presidential election. Nancy Pelosi will come up as a loser. Donald Trump ran a solid campaign. He brought his base out to turn out. Nancy Pelosi was killed in the debates, and Donald Trump will be re-elected as President of the United States. These coming with the calls in Iowa, Utah, and Montana. giving Trump the 15 electoral votes needed for the presidency of the United States. Donald Trump has reached the exact 270 mark. Nancy Pelosi is still trailing behind with a mere 112 electoral votes. It is now almost impossible for Nancy Pelosi to reach the margin Hillary Clinton did in 2016, which is extremely bad news for Democrats in the House and the Senate. The race for 270 is on your screen now. Donald Trump, obviously with the check mark by his name, he has won with 71% of the current all electoral vote in the Electoral College called. 71% of all the called votes have gone to Donald Trump. And the popular vote is on your screen now. 53% for Donald Trump, 46% for Pelosi, 1% for the third-party candidates. It is now 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and 5 new states' polls have closed. California, the home state of Nancy Pelosi, projected to go to her, 55 electoral votes. Washington, 12 electoral votes projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi will also win the 7 electoral votes out of the state of Oregon. And the state of Hawaii, Barack Obama's technical home state, projected to go to Nancy Pelosi. And the state of Idaho, 4 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump with an overwhelming lead of 69% to 30%. And we interrupt our normal poll closing calls to make a huge and major call in the state of Pennsylvania. 20 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump by 5%. This is a huge win for the Trump campaign. He has held on to his state. However, he did not need to win the state to win the presidency. As you saw before, he won without the state of Pennsylvania, meaning if the Rust Belt did indeed flip back, he still would have won the presidential election. The state of Wisconsin, 10 electoral votes, goes with Pennsylvania as with the Rust Belt, will go to Donald Trump by a sizable 2% lead. And Nevada has flipped from the Democratic side, projected to go to Donald Trump by a margin of 10%. The polls showed him ahead here by 5. He has outdone and outperformed the polls. He will win Nevada by a huge margin. Colorado, another flip, projected to go to Donald Trump. However, many pollsters rated this as likely Democrat for Nancy Pelosi. Donald Trump delivering a major upset with a 4% lead, more than he had in Wisconsin, even though he was polled to win more in Wisconsin than he did in Colorado. And Michigan is still too close to call. Trump state from 2016, now tied between Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump. Donald Trump leads by 1,000 votes. And Minnesota is too close to call. Donald Trump also leading here by 3,000 votes, still tied. And the electoral map is on your screen now. 319 for Trump, 190 for Nancy Pelosi. The race for 270 is on your screen now. 319 for Trump. He has won 63% of all the votes called, and Nancy Pelosi has won 37%. And the popular vote is on your screen now, 51%, and we can now project that Donald Trump will take the popular vote regardless of all the absentee ballots needed to be counted in heavily Democratic states. Nancy Pelosi will not pull a Hillary Clinton-type scenario. She will not win the popular vote. Donald Trump will win the popular vote with a sizable 4% lead. It is now 12:13 a.m. Eastern Time. Stand by for one major projection. The state of Michigan, 16 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump. Nancy Pelosi lacking behind by 2%. You saw that they were tied earlier today, but once the rest of the counties came in Green Bay, Michigan has gone to, Michigan has gone to the 16 electoral votes from the state of Michigan will go to Donald Trump. It is now 1 a.m. Eastern Time, and one new state's poll has closed, Governor Palin's home state. 3 electoral votes projected to go to Donald Trump from the state of Alaska. Huge margins for Donald Trump, and it is now 4:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Stand by for one major projection. The state of Minnesota projected to go to Donald Trump. The flip sign is not up here, however, this is a flip from the 2016 poll, in which Hillary Clinton won the state by a very small margin, will now go to Donald Trump by 1% of the vote. Nancy Pelosi will have 49%, Donald Trump will have 50%. And we will now go over the final electoral map. The electoral map is 348 for Trump, 190 for Nancy Pelosi. She has not broken the 200 mark. Donald Trump will pick up states in the state. He will pick up votes in the states of Minnesota, Colorado, Nevada, Virginia, and the state of New Hampshire. All Clinton states from 2016 will go to Donald Trump in this election. The race for 270 is on your screen now with all the votes called. 65% of 538 electoral votes projected to go to Trump, 35% for Nancy Pelosi. And the popular vote is on your screen now. Donald Trump with 53% expanding on his lead, 1% for the third party, and 46% for Nancy Pelosi. Thank you all for watching, and I just want to say thank you for reaching 150 subscribers. I know I just reached 100, so I'm probably going to do something bigger for my 200 subscriber special. I'm still working on my 150 subscriber special. So, yeah. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.